10 years ago, I got a job in an office 20 kilometers away from my house. And it was my first proper job, making videos about cycling.
Welcome back. You're watching the Global Cycling Network with me, Simon Richardson.
Okay, maybe that's not your typical proper job, but either way, I have cycled to and from work hundreds and hundreds of times over the last decade, and I've learned a few things along the way. This is what I wish I'd known from the start. Now, firstly, let it be said, this is not going to be a lecture about how exactly you must commute by bike. Quite the opposite, in fact. I don't think there is a wrong way to commute by bike. All you need is a bike that works. And honestly, I think probably the hardest part about it all is just getting started. So don't put obstacles in your way. Don't worry about needing specialist equipment. Just get out there and do it.
There are many reasons why commuting by bike is good. It is better for your health, it's better for the environment, it's better for your wallet, but I think the best thing of all is that it's fun. And you can't say the same about driving, you can't say the same about public transport, and whilst walking is nice, that's not fun either, but cycling is. So hold on to that fact and try and bring a bit of fun to your commute whenever you can.
Like route choice, don't just ride the same roads that you drive. Even when I take the most direct and fastest route to work, there is still one section of road that I won't cycle on. It's a dual carriageway and it's the only part of the whole ride where cars can go really fast, so people invariably drive that way. And I don't want to be anywhere near it when on two wheels.
So look for alternatives. On a bike, you don't typically get stuck in traffic like you do in a car, so you can ride routes that would be rubbish to drive. Seeing as cycling is fun and driving is not, why not actually allocate an extra 5 or 10 minutes to your commute so that you can actively choose an even nicer route? So one that takes in maybe some parks or the extra bike path, or perhaps just a leafy suburb, or even like this, if you're lucky enough, a riverside bike path. Instead of being stuck in traffic. Look, they're all over there. Ha!
If you have a dedicated bike GPS head unit, super easy to follow along to. You can plan routes on a third-party app. We use Commute that can help you find quiet routes to ride, and you simply upload it to that and follow turn-by-turn directions. But just like you would in a car, where you might use your phone as a sat-nav, you can also do the same thing on a bike as well. Again, that Commute app can function as that. You can buy a cheap mount and stick your phone on your handlebars and follow along. The thing to remember, above all else about routes, is that unlike in a car where you would probably drive exactly the same way to and from work every day because it's the quickest route, or public transport where you're a bit more restricted, on a bike you've got more freedom. You can have multiple routes that you can pick and choose from as your mood dictates. Just keeps it fresh. Another thing that's been important to me is traveling light. So some people I know love and have massive panniers, others have giant rucksacks filled with enough kit to keep you alive in the Arctic for a week. But for me, cycling is fun when you're traveling light. So at work, I have a pair of shoes, 2 pairs of trousers and 2 sweatshirts, which means that all I need to bring on a daily basis is a t-shirt neatly folded, a pair of boxer shorts, and also a pair of socks. And that's it. I could take it all in on a Monday, bring it all home on a Friday, but given that I also need to take a laptop in every day, I'll have a small rucksack with me anyway. And this is my small rucksack. I think about it for about 7 years now. It is cheap and cheerful. I bought it online, I think, for about 20 quid. It has 0 features, but that's a good thing because features in my book add weight, and all it needs to do is carry stuff. It doesn't even need to be waterproof because when it rains, I can put all my stuff in plastic bags inside it anyway. In it, other than my clothes and my laptop, I've got mini pump, spare tube, and also a multi-tool as well. And then periodically, I do try and clear it out because, as I noticed just a moment ago, sometimes you end up collecting rogue socks and things like that, and that adds weight as well. Now, don't get me wrong, panniers are great, certainly for avoiding that sweaty back syndrome. And it's totally cool if you also want to have more stuff with you when you commute. As I said earlier, there are no rules to this, but this is what I found works for me. Now, the slight issue with cycling for commuting is that unlike walking or driving, you can build up a bit of a sweat. You don't have to, certainly on shorter commutes or indeed flatter commutes, but when you're riding further, it's an issue, which is why I wear cycling kit when I ride to work and take that spare change of clothes in my bag. Any bike will get you moving, but if you've got a choice, different types of bikes are good at different things. So a mountain bike is confidence inspiring, but a bit slow if you've got miles to cover. A road bike, meanwhile, is fast and efficient, but not necessarily the most comfortable nor the most welcoming to an inexperienced cyclist. A gravel bike is a good combination of the two, but still slower than a road bike. And an e-bike is a great alternative for if you've got a hilly commute. But remember, while it is way more eco-friendly than a car, it's not as eco-friendly as a normal bike, of course. So if you can pedal au naturel, I would. When I first started riding to work, I used the only road bike I had, which just so happened to be the bike that I've been racing on as a professional just a few weeks beforehand. I then decided that perhaps I should have a practical road bike, so I bought one that had mud guards and the like, and honestly, I hated it so much, I sold it within a month because it was really boring. I went back to riding a fast road bike and just put up with having a wet bum when it rains. Because for me, fun trumps practicality, as it does when I ride in off-road, which is very fun and definitely not terribly practical. Whichever bike you do choose to ride in on there, just take a minute every once in a while to look after it, give it a bit of TLC. And one particularly good tip is that if you've cycled in the rain, just give it a wipe down with a rag whilst it's still wet. Sounds like a small thing, but it'll make such a big difference the next time you come to ride it. If you do look after your bike, you can get thousands of trouble-free kilometers out of it. And then my attitude is that you can justify having a really nice bike to ride to work on and make that commute as fun and enjoyable as possible, particularly if you're packing light, because then it's just like going for a normal bike ride. Now, one thing that would definitely influence the bike that I rode to work on is security. Now, I'm lucky enough to have a safe place to leave my bike at work. I certainly wouldn't ride this bike if I didn't, even with a big old lock. If you don't have a safe place at work, then you will, of course, have to have a big old lock, perhaps insurance as well, and also realistically probably ride a bike that's a little bit less valuable, both financially and also sentimentally as well. Bike theft is, unfortunately, a really big issue. So it's always worth asking your place of work or university or school or whatever, see if they can provide somewhere to leave a bike, or indeed start lobbying your local authority as well. Yeah, no, not a chance. Not a chance. Don't worry, buddy. I was only kidding. Wouldn't leave you.
I mentioned at the start that commuting by bike is really good for your health, but it can also be really good for your fitness too. And personally, I try and make it as productive as possible in that respect. So I ride into work gently, and then on the way home, I might add in some really hard riding. It might be that I try and get home as quickly as possible, or like today, I ride hard on the hills, or some days, maybe just 10, 30-second max sprints. I don't know why I do that. But anyway, not only does it help keep me fit, it also gives me something else to think about other than just get home.
There's quite an industry around commuter clothing and equipment, and I think that's natural. We're drawn towards having the right stuff and accessories, but actually I think the best investment you can make is time, spending time thinking about your routes to and from work. And then when it comes to essential equipment, other than a bike that works, you'll need lights, and that is a worthwhile investment. And I think on top of that, reflective clothing as well for when you're riding at night. Otherwise, normal clothing or normal cycling clothing will absolutely suffice. And then that's it. Just get out there, do it, and enjoy it. If you can think of any other tips, then stick them in the comments section down below. If you've been inspired to start riding to work or to school, to university, again, let us know in the comment section. Otherwise, I will see you out there on the road.